Christian leaving Red Bull shocked everyone in the F1 racing world, but some people saw it coming. Zak Brown talked about this whole Red Bull drama, and the McLaren team boss made sure to make things worse for Christian's future. But did Brown become someone people don't like with what he said? And how will fans think about him after talking about such serious things about his coworker, someone who led Red Bull for 20 years? The competition between Red Bull and McLaren got really big in the past few years, where they were fighting directly for the driver and team championships. This made a lot of mean comments happen, like Brown saying that he doesn't think of Christian as a friend, and that's normal for this sport. But his latest comments about Christian getting fired by Red Bull might have gone too far. Even though the investigation inside Red Bull burned some relationships, not many people thought it would make Christian get fired from the Austrian team. Of course, it hurt everyone in Red Bull, because after Newey, Wheatley, and Cortina left, the team is losing people from everywhere, and people say the main reason for this has been Christian. Still, the fact that the court made a decision where he was cleared of all blame us think that everything would keep going the same way in Red Bull. All they had to do was fix things from the inside. But the drama in Red Bull didn't stop, and according to Zak Brown, Christian getting fired was expected as the most sensible solution to this whole mess. Talking more about this and addressing the whole situation between Red Bull and Christian, Brown said, "Maybe the timing was a bit surprising, but not the result. I think there's been a lot of drama. There's been a lot of drama there the last couple of years, and it doesn't seem like the drama has been calming down, maybe beginning to get worse. So, I'm not surprised anytime in the middle of the season, but we're head down on our championship. We've got Max still knocking on the door, so we've got to pay attention to that. But yeah, a tremendous amount of success that they've had with Christian. This is Zak Brown we're talking about. He picks every word he says carefully, and he's very famous for that, which is why he's one of the most well-known people in the Formula One world. When he talks about something, he knows what he's going to cause drama and more fighting among his coworkers. But the fact that he's speaking badly about Christian, the man that he has gone through a lot with in the past couple of years, is just another way to hurt Christian, who is already suffering. Let's not forget that Zak Brown is the man who wrote a public letter to the FIA about the penalty Red Bull got for breaking the rules. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that Brown doesn't feel sorry for Christian. And in this mean world, maybe that's the attitude you need to have if you're going to survive as a team boss. Even so, Brown had the nerve to talk about what's next for Christian's career in Formula One. And when talking about it, he said, "I think, given his age and his history in car racing, I'd be surprised if he didn't show up somewhere in car racing. But I don't know his other interests, whether he wants to go run a soccer team or what have you. So, we'll see." And Zak Brown is telling this whole situation from a very interesting point of view. We do know for sure that Max Verstappen could join Mercedes very soon. And that's not really good news for McLaren. If the McLaren team sees this happen, then the pair of Piastri and Norris will get a real monster as their opponent. Not that they didn't have it now with Verstappen in Red Bull, but it's going to be different in the new rule period. That's why Zak Brown wants to watch very closely the whole Max to Mercedes story. And talking about it more, he said, "Yeah, but I couldn't be happier with the lineup I have right now with Oscar and Lando. So, I'm sort of being an interested spectator. I'm very happy with my driver lineup, so I don't really kind of spend any time on anything other than what pops up on my phone. As of now, one thing is certain. Red Bull is not as good as McLaren, and Zak Brown knows that better than anyone else." A huge reason for this change was Rob Marshall coming to McLaren back in 2023. And with the whole rebuilding of the team, McLaren saw themselves rocket to the top super quickly under the same rules from 2022. It must not be easy for all the Red Bull fans to see the experienced people who helped build their team from nothing leave and go to another team to make them even more successful. The same can be said for Jonathan Wheatley. Just look at how Sauber was changed in just 1 year. They're now fighting in the middle after being in the back for so long. All of this can be traced back to Christian and the bad effect he's had inside Red Bull. It's not just Zak Brown who spoke this way about Christian. Let's not forget what Joe's, Max's father, said about what would happen to Red Bull if Christian kept leading the team. Everything would fall apart, and whether we like Joe's or not, he was right. The whole team crumbled down. So, the firing right away might have been the best solution for Red Bull after all. This is something that surprised Christian's old friend and former FIA boss Bernie Ecclestone, as he said, "All I know is the message the whole world has got, which is he's been fired. Effective immediately." It's the effective immediately that I don't understand. Why would they ask him to leave with immediate effect? It's like he's murdered somebody. You can understand if you're going to fire somebody, then you'd have a chat before and you'd come out with something like, "We've agreed to part company" or something. But to come out and say, "You're fired with immediate effect," he must have done something a bit drastic for that to happen. Let's assume that they were unhappy with the results, which I can understand. That's one thing. But to be fired immediately, that's a different thing altogether. So, what does the future hold for Red Bull right now? Their top goal is rebuilding the inside structure of the team and also keeping Verstappen happy. The four-time world champion might have been given a great boost in that regard. And while the report said that Christian getting fired could also mean the Verstappens are now going to leave too, that's very unlikely to happen. Zak Brown thinks that it's a bit too early to talk about what's going to happen in 3 or 5 years. But one thing is for sure, he'd much rather see Verstappen drive for Red Bull than for Mercedes from 2026 onwards. With this, he's giving Red Bull yet another sneaky bomb. People expect that the engines that Mercedes are going to make will be way better compared to the ones of Red Bull, a team that will be basically a beginner along with Audi. Again, I don't blame Brown for making the comments he makes because it's his job to create drama in places he sees fit. The same was done by Wolff when he was in a position to scare Red Bull. Now, the Austrian team principal is working behind the scenes and is creating bigger plans that people might not even know about. And the biggest one is taking Verstappen right in front of Red Bull's eyes. Christian leaving might have given him the best chance to do so, and when talking about this more, Zak Brown said he doubts that such a move will happen, adding more, at the same time, there is a four-time world champion that needs to decide what he's going to do in the future. And that's just as a team principal. You need to see where that's going. But I think I give it a very little probability that it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to be in 3 or 5 years. That's why you need to look at what it is that should be considered in the long term. All of this is putting a lot of focus on whether Horner leaving Red Bull will keep his now ex-coworkers busy for a longer time. But one thing can be promised. Zak Brown is enjoying every moment of it. If Max joins Mercedes and starts winning championships from 2026 or 2027, the story might change. But as of now, the annoying personality that Zak has shown himself as continues to be spread by him. With all of this in mind, what do you think about the comments that the team boss of McLaren made about his former co-worker Christian? And more importantly, do you think the tables are going to turn and Brown is going to suffer from a similar fate as the British man? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.